Hello and welcome to our session today. We're going to look at palindrome number challenge. This challenge basically just means you're given an integer x. You're given an integer x, okay? That's our function. Given an integer x, this is only a palindrome if, example, if we have 121, if you reverse this integer, you get still 121, and therefore this is a palindrome. A number like 123, if it's reversed, it's 321. That's not a palindrome. So this is true. This should return false. So one of the ways of tackling this will be to just convert the number into a string and then check if that string is a palindrome. So if you have your number, if I had an example like 1221, convert it to a string, so let's call it strx, for example, equals to string and we have, and therefore if my x was 1221, I'll have this into a string, okay? And therefore this, what you do here is you have two counters, one pointing at the beginning, call it start, and one pointing at the end, call it E. So start will just be 0 in the beginning, and E will be the length of our strx minus 1. So, and what you do is just say while start is greater than E, keep going, and if this, the string at the character position, this and this are not equal, if strx s is not equal to strx e, then that's not a palindrome. You just stop immediately by returning false. But if it's not, you keep going. How do you keep going? You increment s and decrement e. So what this means, now you're going to the next, and this is decrementing, is coming here, now comparing 2 against 2 until when this is greater than e. So when you try to cross over, it breaks this condition, and therefore the loop stops. So at the end, when the loop stops, just return true, because it means that's a palindrome. It didn't violate our condition here. So that is one way of doing this challenge. But remember now, this one we are using, if we are to analyze this, the time complexity, of course, is just order n, because where n is the length of that string. The space complexity, we are having to use extra space, order n. But what if I say that we can do this without using extra space? So let's have a look. So we could do this without using extra space, and this is the trick. If you keep dividing a number, so let's take an example that we had initially, 1221, keep dividing it by 10 and just look at the remainders. If you divide this by 10, basically you're bringing this point here, remainder here is 1. Divide again by 10, the remainder here is 2. Basically you're dividing the So basically what we are doing is we're dividing 122 divided by 10, and we get 122 remainder 1. Therefore we store this remainder here, and then 122, this 122 now divide by 10, get 12 remainder 2, and we put 2 here. Then 12 divided by 10, we get 1 remainder 2, again we put 2 here. And then 1 divided by 10, we get 0 remainder 1, put 1 here. You see that this now is reading the same as the original number, and that's how you can find out whether this is a palindrome. So how do we put this in terms of code? We have so this is what we can do. We know there's a modulus operator that can let us know the remainder of a division, and then we can do a floor division, whichever language that you're using. So if you have if our number is x, we will keep, so what we can do is we'll keep dividing and getting the remainder, but the only trick here is to have, so let's say the reversed number, call it rev, equals to 0. You initialize it with 0, and then we do a while loop. While x is greater than 0, so while we keep dividing x and it's not gotten to 0, we keep doing this while loop, and I say our new rev will be rev times 10 plus x modulus 10, because now that remainder, and I'll explain this in a little while. Basically we are adding that remainder to the rev, and remember here rev starting at 0, so at the end of the day, basically if we had 121, rev is 0, so it's 0 plus the remainder here is 1. So we'll start at 1 and keep pushing this 1 towards the most significant figure, because as we go to the while loop, this rev will keep increasing. Okay, and then we need to do something to our x. Our new x will be the floor division of x by 10. So whichever language, if you're using JavaScript, for example, it will be the math floor, divide the integers, x divided by 10. For Python, it will just be x divided by 10. Okay, and therefore that's how we'll end this loop. And then at the end we just compare the original number. We just return rev is equal to x. That's the end of our function. So let me explain this bit here. It's a bit can be a bit confusing, this bit here. What's happening here is that our rev, remember, let's put here rev and let's put x here. So starting at rev 0, x is at 1221. So our new rev will be 0 times 10, which is 0, plus the remainder of that division. The remainder of the division of x divided by 10, which will be 1. So our new rev is just 1, and our new x is 122. Okay, and therefore now this is the trick here. The next time this 1 is going to be pushed to a higher significant figure. So we are at right now we are at 1, okay, but this, if this was let's just put it as if we had these were slots with 1 0 0 1. So this is going to be pushed to the next significant place. So this is just, remember, this is base 10, this is not a binary. So the next time how it's going to be pushed is through this rev times 10, because the next rev is now we have 1 times 10, which is 10, plus the remainder of 122 divided by 10, okay, which is 2. So the next rev is 12, and here the x here is now 12, okay. And then we keep going. Now our next rev is the previous 12, which is 120, at the previous rev, which is now 12 times 10, which is 120, plus the new remainder, which is 2. So the next rev is 122, and the remainder here is the division, the x here is 1 after that division. And that lastly, now 1 divided by 10 is 0, remainder 1. So next rev is 122 times 10 plus 1, which is now 122 1, and here we go to 0. So the while loop breaks, and therefore we just compare the rev and the original number, which is still the same. So this is a palindrome. So that is the next the second way of doing this challenge. So if you have any more questions, please reach out. I hope this was helpful. Thank you and have a good day.